Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Spiderbait event, in which the Tome Spider as well as the Widow Queen are added to the game. First, let's go and find ourselves a Widow Queen. We can do that underneath the chest, and she is in the event key drop hole. I'm just going to do it 50 at a time, as I only need one copy of her. As far as other drops that are in here, the only somewhat other noteworthy drop, for the most part, is the web spinner in here, which does 3 times additional damage with its skulls to anything that is poisoned, and has the capability of poisoning everything. It's also a common alternative to Yasmin if you don't have her, as it can spam green infinitely, similar to how an Element Grim or Yasmin can. But let's go and see what we can get here. And nope, we got Web Spinner, as I was mentioning. This troop can infinitely spam, not as good as some of the other options, but it can create 9 of its own color that it uses, so it can start getting a kind of loop. It does damage to all enemies, and of course it poisons all and has that triple damage there. That is not what I want, though. What we want is the new Legends, so hopefully we'll get that in this 50. And there we go, that is what we want, and this is the new legendary that was added into the game today. That is of course available through event keys, the Widow Queen. She sacrifices an ally, deals damage to all enemies, and that's boosted by the sacrificed troops' life. So let's say they have 50 life, that will be 10 additional damage to every single enemy, so a pretty decent amount, and of course you can have even higher than that later on in the game. And then it summons a random Zolkiri troop, so probably a good idea to put the troop that you're sacrificing in first slot, mainly because a good majority of the troops within Zolkiri are best within the first slot. Other than that, it does have 2 really noteworthy things, as immune to mana drain and all those other things. It has dark ancestry, so really nice immunities there with all of them. The main one that's useful, of course, being the mana drain immunity. But it also gets to do this unique thing, which finally makes it the first viable web in the entire game. For any of you that don't know the mechanic of web, basically it's like Entangle except for magic. Anything that is webbed will have 0 magic for the duration of the web. They will still be able to cast like normal and do whatever their ability is, but whatever their ability does that's boosted based on magic will be nullified all the way down to 0. So if it had like 3 plus whatever its magic is, it will simply just do that 3 and nothing else beyond that. But yes, very, very nice. One other noteworthy thing about the web as well as Entangle, but in the case of web, it's you cannot gain, or any troop that is inflicted with web cannot gain nor lose magic. So for example, you wouldn't want to use like an Azura with her, mainly because you would be able to reduce magic with it, but if the enemy is webbed, you would actually not be able to reduce it, because for that time it has 0, and since you can't reduce it any below 0, once it gets replenished, it'll just be back at its normal value. So yes, make sure to be careful around that. But other than that, you can use it in the inverse way. If they have a magic buffing troop, like let's say Humility, you can easily web out their entire team and counter them out. It's basically going to make Draculus pretty dead too, if Humility Draculus has still been used at all. I'm not sure, I haven't really been seeing much of that. I think it's kind of gone and went, but yeah, it'd be a very good counter against that as well. And anything really that uses a lot of magic, anything that does like those full AoEs that are extremely magic dependent, going to be a really hard counter to that. So we'll go and mess around with her some. As far as the event stuff, let's go into the new troop, the other new troop. I could have actually shown it there, but let's go all the way to the reward page. Of course, you can get it all the way over here. As far as brown-red early on in the game, you'd want to throw those arcane Traitstones at something like a lava elemental. Later on in the game, probably something like a Yarrow or a Shegra, depending on which one you want to go and get. But definitely a great time to go stock up. They're only 200 glory each, so very cheap to go get a bunch of lava Traitstones if you need it for anything. As far as the Tome Spider itself, pretty weak. It is another one of those variants, very similar to Winterwolf and Direwolf. Direwolf, out of every single one of these, despite being a common, is the best because it only has an 8 mana cost, and it's just more effective. It has Entangle, has the automatic extra turn, or at least extra turn on 13 more green. But yeah, this is basically just a weaker version of the common Direwolf, even though it's epic rarity. It webs and places a 100's mark on the first enemy, deals some damage to them, and if there are 13 or more purple gems, it will place a death mark on them. So not really anything too over the top. If you happen to summon into first slots due to the other troop, then yes, that would be decent. But in almost every other situation, you wouldn't really go and put this into your team. Do keep in mind, though, this week you do get 2 times Traitstones if using it in your team this week, so it might be a good idea to kind of just shove it into some kind of random team, just so you get that double Traitstones in PvP. But other than that, you're not really going to be using it for anything. It does have the 2 times additional to its stats effects that it places, just like Winterwolf and all the other similar troops set up in this fashion, and it also gets a little bit of extra damage switch, but that is pretty irrelevant because it doesn't use purple, so you'd have to have other purples on your team, and in most cases it's only going to be like 1 or 2 additional damage on an ability that barely does anything. So nothing too over the top, mainly just used for the current event and to go farm up a bunch of lava Traitstones. So as far as actual event objectives, we have 10% to all Zolkiri, 10% to all beasts. This will be pretty good with, of course, Sunbird and stuff like that. If you still want to go and farm up with that other spider, you can easily go with some kind of quick wipe team in PvP and work that way. As I mentioned a couple times now, Dome Spider, of course, does give 2 times as many Traitstones when using it within PvP. Easiest way to do this is keep spamming your casual PvP, repicking it for only 50 gold, and keep repicking it until you have a very easy 1 trophy battle, or, you know, the one all the way to the left, which is your easiest battle. All of them are actually 1 trophy, but just go all the way to your easiest possible battle every single time, keep repicking until you find one, and then just easily kill it out with some kind of quick team, doesn't really matter what it is, and just kill it out, and you'll get twice the amount of Traitstones. And we have to go do treasure maps this time. Treasure maps, this is actually the first time treasure maps has come up since the most recent patch. One thing that's kind of noteworthy about this is they buffed the rewards, but they did not buff the amount of, or they didn't nerf it in that you wouldn't need to do more of them. It's still the exact same 250 that you would always have to do, except they buffed the rewards. So that's kind of nice. In all the other instances in this patch, basically they made it so you had to do more, but you also got more rewards. And this time you have to do the exact same amount, but you still get more rewards for doing that same amount. So definitely a really good idea to spend a lot of time within the treasure hunt minigame, particularly if you're a newer player, but also just in general, as they have buffed the rewards and it takes the exact same amount of time. You also get Tyree from it, which is really good at getting even more maps. So if you need even more maps if you don't already have thousands of them stocked up, Tyree would be pretty good for that. And if you wanted to get one prior to this, if you still don't have any maps, you could either buy them from the Glory shop, or you can go and complete out Zolkiri. It takes like 30 minutes to an hour, maybe even less, and just go get her. She has a 20% chance per cast to give you a map, and you can just go farm that wherever, just in challenges, explore, wherever you want to go use that. Anyways, let's get into the Soulforge. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to look at Soulforge earlier. Well, let's see what's there now. Soulforge. Normally I look beforehand, so I know what's actually under these color things. Are there anything special? Watch, because I got the Valraven. Oh, mercy, though, she's only good in late game. Dark Troll Destimona, not too bad. I don't think that would be worth it, though. I had a feeling there would be like a Valraven or something here. What's with it always being winged-like creatures? The last few weeks has always been winged-like creatures. I guess Dragon Egg technically isn't, but what comes out of it is. So I still count it. Anyways. Anything else here? Oh, Azurus isn't too bad. If you're looking to make like absolutely optimal soul farming teams, it's pretty good for that, though that's like the only purpose it ever runs in. Okay, so most of those you don't have to deal with. Oh, Dragon Soul. We got, oh, that's also the first time Champion of Anu has been available since he's been released, so if you didn't get him on release, he's available right now. He has been chosen, I was just mentioning, no real reason to go Crafter. Not only was her event the other week, you can also just get Web Spinner this week, which is basically a cheaper version of Yasmin. So since you're probably going to get a Web Spinner anyways from opening event keys, no point in doing that. But yes, Dragon Soul. Haven't picked up a Dragon Soul yet in early game. It is one of the best soul farming troops in the game. Gains a lot of souls, 15 per cast. Very, very effective. The earlier you get it, the better. Absolutely insane damage early on when you're running it with 4 dragons, as well as still decent damage later on in the game. It hits a max of 20. And that's regardless of if you're like a level 100 player or level 1200 or something. Its max hit is always 20 if you have a full team of dragons. So very, very, very powerful if the earlier you can get this thing. So if you are a newer player and can get this right now, definitely go do so, because it's the best possible thing you can craft as a newer player. So definitely go get yourself one. And other than that, nothing really too noteworthy. Maybe Shegra, not really used in too many teams. I mainly mention it because the brown-red Traitstone for it is available this week, of course. So you would be able to get all of that. But other than that, nope, everything else seems pretty dull. So those are the only few you may want to go for. The Champion of Anu if you didn't get him during the event and you actually want him. Dragon Soul for early game players or just in general. And maybe Shegra. It's kind of used in some various skull spam teams. Mainly with Great Maul, but you could just use it with just about anything. Anyways, let's go and get ourselves into some battles. I guess we'll start off first with basically how to farm with the Tomb Raider. Basically, you just keep clicking this refresh button until you find a really weak battle on your 1 trophy. I probably should just... Oh, well, there we go. That makes it even easier. As you can see, it is pretty broken in that it can give you ridiculously overly easy battles, and you just set a single Tome Spider to your team. Unfortunately, setting multiple of them doesn't keep multiplying it. You can only have a maximum of one multiplier for it, so don't bother putting any more than one spider because you will not get any bonus beyond that. But yes, you just basically keep repicking that button in casual PvP until you find a ridiculously easy battle, kill it out in like a matter of seconds, and then boom, there you go, getting a Treasure No Worse drop right there of the two minor Traitstones right there. So yeah, of course that could be 2 arcanes or anything else like that. But, of course, the common one is the most common, so a little unfortunate. But, yeah, that's basically all you do. Just keep doing it on the weakest battle you have, repick if it's too strong for whatever reason, and just repeat that until you have all of the Traitstones you would ever want. Wow, we're actually getting really lucky right now with easy battles. But, yeah, it's as easy as that to go farm all the Traitstones you'll ever need. Great week to go and stock up if you've been wanting to for whatever reason. Maybe if you just wanted to start getting on that Traitstone grind to get 5-star kingdoms. To get bonus stats and all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, very, very quick. Double runic right there in no time flat. And we even got a level up from it. And of course, we're going all in on purple for no reason whatsoever. Anyways, let's go into and using the new troop. Obviously, we just got it, so I haven't gotten a chance to use it a single time yet. So let me go use it right now. Let me go upgrade it too. That'd be a fail if I didn't go and do that. It's underneath Zolkari. Oops, that is not how you get to Zolkari. It's all the way at the bottom. And I still misclick it. Good job. Go all the way to the bottom, Zolkari, and where'd it go? And there she is, the Widow Queen. So we'll go max that out. Also, that's all of her Traitstones cost, though I believe you could see it normally on any of the menus, but yeah, that's her full amount of Traitstone cost to go get her maxed. And, of course, you can use Orbs of Wisdom, too, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, maybe on the last trait, just so you could save some resources. Click that up instantly to get it leveled, and we're good to go. I love how much quicker that is now. I remember when doing this entire step, like leveling something from level 1 all the way to, let's say, 19. That used to take like 2 minutes. Now, you just click like one button and it's done. Feels so good. Anyways, let's go put that in, and we're good to go. Also, we finally found a purpose for Faunessa. Faunessa has been useless for basically forever. There's some really, really niche situations where she was kind of used, but no, she's basically useless. But now there is one thing she can be used for. And it's kind of weird, but we're using her... oh, wait, that was a freeze? Oh! Really? I would make that mistake, because I haven't seen a Bone Dragon for so long. One interesting mechanic about Bone Dragon that is unique to a Bone Dragon is that it freezes whenever something does skull damage to it. But the way that it does this is if you extra turn skull against it, it will end your turn, like you just saw there. And I completely forgot about that, because no one uses Bone Dragon these days. Fail. But, yeah, that's the thing. Anyways, let's go get our double purple. That's going to be a little bad now that we're frozen on it. That kind of ruined everything. We'll definitely need to go try this again, because that's a little bit of a fail there. But right off the bat, we're mainly just going to want to get our main mana generators up. That main one being Dark Troll, but we can get some mana generation off of this as well. Basically, what we're going to be using here is a single Faunessa. And with this Faunessa, we are going to then basically just buff ourselves up and then get a gigantic AoE, since it boost ratio is based on our HP. Unfortunately, we just lost like all of our HP there. So we're not going to have too much HP to work with. We can go and use this again just to kind of poke at some. I think I am, because it's just going to poke us back again with a skull. So we're just going to let it do that. As you can see, we're webbing them every single time. As I mentioned, this reduces their magic to 0 for its duration. And it just makes... They're still allowed to use their ability. It's not like a silence or anything. But whatever's magic based on their ability will be negated all the way down. So you can see his damage is only 1, because his normal damage would be 1 plus however much magic he has. And since he has 0, that's only 1. And in the case of this troop, it does absolutely nothing, because nothing that is on its ability is boosted by its magic. So there's some things that Web is just completely useless on. So we're just going to throw this down. He's going to poke us with a skull. That is to be expected. Now we finally go and kill this thing out, sacrifice that. As you can see, we now have a nice first slot right up there. Dark Maiden, very good mana generator. Unfortunately, there's like no purples on this board, which it needs to really function. So I'll just go throw this down, get its mana up. Still don't really have those yellows, but we can go sacrifice again. Kind of want to go re-sacrifice our first slot. We do have full mana on it, so let me go and use that real quick. That also gives an HP buff, which works perfectly with the fact that she boosts based on HP, so very nice in that regard. We're not frozen on purple, we are frozen on red and green, however, so do need to watch out for that. That is a blue, which is not red or green, so we'll go grab that. And red is a color that we're frozen on, so I'm going to have to stop it there or use this ability. So I guess we'll just go and kill it out, do our AoE, and as you can see, it gets boost ratioed very high, 31 damage to everything off its HP it has. We now got this useless thing, unfortunately. They rebalanced this a while back, and in doing so made it even worse than how bad it already was. It's always been a bad troop, but then they nerfed it even further. It's like, here's a horrible troop, let's go nerf it further. But yeah, I don't know what they did with that thing, it's horrible. But unfortunately, that was what we got as a summon, probably one of the worst things from the kingdom. There's actually quite a few bad things from Zolkari. For the longest time, it was like one of the absolute worst kingdoms. So it has gotten some good things lately, like Tyree, or in the past, like Tyree and Web Spinner. But overall, this is probably the best things that has happened to the kingdom for a while. The Widow Queen, that is for sure. It's also a little bit odd that the Web Spinner is not the best thing at webbing within the kingdom. It's actually a Web Spinner, so we can go do that. We got the Spinneret that was added a couple of patches ago. Still not really that good, but is another AoE, which we could utilize with the fact that we're also already doing a AoE with it. But let's go and take ourselves a skull and go poke it down one more time. Let's see. I guess we'll just go for the double purple there. And there we go. And has that enough damage? No. It's surprisingly not enough. We'll go and I guess just kill it with a big AoE. At that point, we could just go kill one of our other troops because it doesn't matter. It's already going to end out the battle. And yeah, that is pretty much the new troop. There are some really niche instances where it would be good. It wouldn't be something you would throw against everything, but it would be really effective against things that are really magic dependent. And here might actually be a decent battle to go show that against. So here, Gorgolfa is extremely magic dependent. At 0 magic, it only does 3 explosions. Dragon Soul, not as much, but still is. Its damage will still stay consistent because it's based on how many dragons are on the team, but its explosions will be knocked down, I believe, to 3, basically just like a Gorgolfa. But yeah, it goes down to like 3 or 4, somewhere around there. Infernus would still keep all of its explosions, but its damage would go down to 10, which is a pretty big hit to his total amount of damage, basically 2/3 what it would normally do. And Solzar would have quite a bit of a nerf to its damage, and the fact that there's triple damage would be kind of irrelevant, even if it could get that triple damage, because it's going to already be at 0. She could actually counter us out pretty easily, though, because we're about to HP buff, but we'll still go and mess around with it real quick. But same kind of concept we're going to be running again. Get the Faunessa down, get that little bit of extra HP on it, go get the Dark Troll up. I feel like we might need to go into some kind of really big loop later on. Of course, I haven't really gotten to test it extensively yet. I will be mainly doing that later tonight during stream and stuff like that, and maybe a bit throughout the day. But yeah, there's definitely quite a bit that this thing could be used for. Anything that can get disabled well. Look at this Infernus now. We keep mentioning like how good he is. Look at that now. Only 10 damage. To 2 random enemies and then 5 explosions. That is not good whatsoever, especially for 22 mana cost. Of course, we had to web him to get him to that point, but anything that's super magic dependent, look at this now too. Even if it does triple damage, it's only 9 damage. So you can get some really effective webs down. It's just if you're going up against a team that isn't going to be disabled by webs at all, there's no point in using her. But if there are some really good disables you can get, then probably some kind of loop, maybe even a double troll of some kind, or just anything that can sustain a consistent loop is going to be pretty good, and she's definitely going to be a pretty popular troop. More so for defend, I feel like, than invading, because she's not particularly quick, but she is pretty effective. The only bad thing with her using her on defend, though, is the AI is probably going to use it on the most dumbest possible troop possible, and will probably kill out something that's important on the team, and then will lead to lose. But I haven't actually seen it function on defend yet, though I assume it is absolutely horrible on defense, even though it might be used on defend more so for its web aspect. Too bad there's no way to tell the AI, never use your ability, because you're going to mess it up. As you can see now, we've gotten every single thing on the enemy team webs. I already kind of mentioned the values earlier, but yeah, you can see he only does 3 explosion. This does 3 explosion and the 11 damage, because the damage is consistent and based on dragons, as well as the soul gain is also consistent, which is also a really nice thing about Dragon Soul. It's one of the only few troops in the game that can't get its soul gain reduced, so and already has such a high static amount. Of course, he is already at 10 damage and already at 3, and if it triples, it's only 9. So very, very low values, and if we just keep extra turning, he will maintain that low values forever, even if we give him all of his mana for every single troop right now. Like if he got crazy cascades or something, he barely do anything with that value. So right here, I almost feel like we need a tank here. Gosh, we keep getting hit by too many skulls. I'm going to go throw this onto, probably should have done that in the first place, hit that on Gorgolfa. Now let's go kill this out and hopefully get something that does extra damage. That's exactly what we needed. Unfortunately, having that summon like that will not actually give us the 2 times Traitstones. It only counts it if it started at the beginning of the battle. But that's exactly what I was about to go mention there. We really needed something that could do extra damage to webs. There's I believe 3 things within this kingdom, 2 or 3, that deal, that have Stalker, which does 2 times damage if the opposing troop is webbed. So we can utilize that with the fact that she can web everything to get herself 2 times skull damage. Of course, we still have to deal with the fact that he is granite skin, which is 75% reduction, but still will end up working out. So there's Dragon Soul. Unfortunately, he's not webbed at the moment. They, of course, can cleanse it, and once they cleanse it, they do have their full amount of magic. As you can see right there, that thing is going to go crazy and hit triple damage to us, and there isn't a single thing we can go do about that at the moment, unfortunately. I guess we'll just go and give it even more boost ratio. Here, have even more HP. And as you can see there, it hits for a 72. Actually, even with that triple damage, it's still pretty low. Keep forgetting Soulzar is not too high. Even with that triple, it doesn't really do too much still. But we'll go and throw this down again. Pretty decent HP right there. I did lose some of it there, but we'll just go kill that out. And I summoned the exact same thing over again. Well, that's very convenient. Because, of course, now we still maintain the 2 times skulls, so if we can find ourselves some skulls, that'd be really convenient. At this point, we might as well just kill out the Lady Arnariel. I don't really think we need the Lady Arnariel for HP buffing now that I'm kind of looking at it. Almost feels like we need more of a loop going than anything. It feels like we're lacking mana generation. We kind of have the damage, we kind of have everything else. It's just mainly the mana generation I feel like is lacking here. And I guess a little bit of the loop, because he keeps unwebbing on some. So having a good enough loop to make sure that that doesn't happen would be convenient. Do we go for HP buff here? I almost feel like killing out first slots. It's just so good of a value. So we'll go throw that down. Double check for anything that might be laying around. Go grab that. And yeah, let's go get that down now. And see if we can get something even better there. No, that is not what better would be considered. There's some small damage plus web. That is not going to do much, especially since they're already webbed. Wow, everything on this thing is horrible, other than the fact that it has immune to mana drain. Though it is a common troop, so I guess that is to be expected. It is also the Zolkari Kingdom, so it's also to be expected that almost everything is horrible. I'm surprised, though. We haven't gotten a Web Spinner yet. Web Spinner is, well, you know, off a summon from her. Web Spinner is one of the best things that she can actually summon, though we have yet to get it. The main reason being is it does triple damage to poisoned enemies, so obviously having that in first slot would be quite powerful to have as a utility, assuming you have it fully traded, of course. What do we need? What do we need? We'll go and take a brown, just throw it a double purple. Yeah, we need like one more damage source, I think. Running just her as damage source doesn't really work, unless we just happen to get lucky constantly with getting good front lines. But there we go with the last little poke there. Definitely an interesting troop, definitely one that's going to get some use. Really good hard counter to things that are super magic dependent, as well as teams that like to spam additional magic buffs and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely a troop I would say to pick up. Maybe not something you would use always, but definitely a utility that you'll want to have around for Guild Wars and other situations where you may be able to utilize it. No team really runs impervious to web. It's not really something that's done because it's never been needed to be done before. So very few teams will be having any kind of immune to it. Like we could even go see, this is probably the really annoying Nyx team right here. If I'm not mistaken, this doesn't have a single thing immune to web. Unfortunately, web doesn't really do much to it though. It doesn't affect Forest Troll at all, it doesn't affect Nyx at all, but it would make Kraken do almost no damage other than Devour, and it would make Queen Mab do almost no damage other than the actual mana burn aspect of whatever mana you have. It wouldn't be that effective against it, but as you can see, many teams do not have any kind of immune to web because they don't need it. It's never really been a mechanic that has ever been an issue. So yeah, gonna be quite a bit of fun to mess around with. And don't forget, do claim your 2x Traitstones. You can spam it very easily this week. That should probably be one of the main things you focus on, if anything, this week. Just trying to grind that down. So, yep, that's pretty much everything with the event. If you guys still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed the holidays, and I will see you all later. Goodbye, everyone!